Okay, today we're going to talk about some more geometric terms, specifically describing angle pairs and theorems, and looking at congruent and supplementary angle pairs. So the first term, or most of these terms, you'll probably be familiar with from over the years of your math classes. So some of these we'll go through and we'll define, and then we'll show you what they look like. And afterwards, you can just pause the video and fill in the notes and draw the pictures. But you want to be sure that you're drawing pictures so you can see an example of what they look like. So an acute angle is an angle less than 90 degrees. Now, most of the time, you can just look at it and recognize that it's less than 90 degrees, but in this case, here's a specific angle. It's 60 degrees, so that's less than 90. That makes it acute. So again, you want to pause the video, be sure and draw the picture and insert it into your notes. An obtuse angle is an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So it's going to look like this. So this angle is 120 degrees. So most of the time you can look at it, recognize the shape, and be able to say whether or not it's acute or obtuse. Straight angles. Straight angles is an angle, just one, that is exactly 180 degrees and looks like a straight line. So see how this looks like a straight line that goes on forever. However, it's also an angle that measures 180 degrees. And the most common one, and this is one that's going to be used quite a bit throughout the year, is a right angle. A right angle is an angle that is exactly 90 degrees and looks like a corner. So anytime you see this square, that tells you it's a right angle, and we automatically associate the square with 90 degrees. Now we have some angle pairs. Okay, so adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other and share a common ray. So in other words, you have this angle TSR and an angle right next to it that's RSU. Notice that it shares SR as a common ray in between it. So these are adjacent angles. Vertical angles. Now, we're going to see a lot of vertical angles throughout the year. Vertical angles are across from each other and they are congruent. That means that they have the same measure. So what typically should show you what a vertical angle is, or that we're dealing with vertical angles, is an X. So anytime you see an X, you need to think in your mind, I have vertical angles. So ACB is a vertical angle with DCE, and they're congruent. Same thing about these two angles that are also vertical. They are also congruent. And the last one on this one is a linear. So that's when two angles make a line. They add up to 180 degrees. So I have M in P, P in O, and they add up to be 180 and form a line. And the last two we want to look at, you're very familiar with, or you should be familiar with, complementary angles. Complementary angle pairs are angles that add up to 90 degrees. Now, most of the time you'll see them as adjacent angles, but they don't necessarily have to be. So if you have two angles that aren't next to each other, but you're told that they are complementary, that just means that both the angles measure up to be, 90 degrees. So notice I have ABD and DBC. When I add these angle measures up together, I get 90 degrees. And supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. Now, you can get these confused with linear. Now, remember, linear has to make a line. Now, I'm going to use the same picture that I used. However, sometimes they're not going to create a line, supplementary pairs. When we get on to different shapes and look at consecutive angles, and you'll know more about what that is later on, they don't form a line, but they do add up to be 180 sometimes. So supplementary angles are just angles that add up to 180 degrees. So again, be sure that you're doing the examples, putting those in your notes, and this will continue to help you as you work on the assignment. So after this video, you need to look at assignment activity 1-2 and do that for today. Have a good day.